Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brian. And this video is from our campaign headquarters live stream focused on how to spotlight every player in your campaign. Now in this segment, we talk about practical ways to make sure every player and their characters have a chance to shine in your game. All right, let's get rolling. So spotlighting your players and the characters that they're playing is an important part of any role-playing game, right? You want to make sure that every player feels like they have their moment in the sun, that they feel like they can do what they designed their character to do, what they wanted to make. All of those moments that were sort of the cinematic moments for that character, whether it was being sneaky or slaying the dragon, it doesn't matter what they had for the concept of the character. You want to make sure you're giving opportunity for those character concepts to come to life. And that's a big factor when it comes to running a game, is not leading them in the direction without having the ability for them to take the opportunity, right? So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we can spotlight characters and highlight each one of them in a campaign the way that makes sense for the story, but also for all the players of the group? Well, every group is going to have its own rhythm. You're going to find that rhythm as you play, but you can't force it. You have to figure out the players, their style. Some players are more introverted, some are very extroverted. How do you balance that? The way you play the game is going to be different if you're very much into political intrigue and understanding how the world works and all the lore, versus you're doing more of a hack and slash combat type game. That's a difference in play style too, and the pacing might be different for those types of sessions. So understanding the rhythm of the game is more than just game to game. It's also in game how people interact together. So sometimes the out of game activities, meaning like someone's always getting up to use the restroom because they drank too much throughout the day, they had their water bottle with them constantly and they got to go use the bathroom, that's fine. You got to do what you got to do. But if that breaks up the rhythm, then you have to give a chance for something to happen during that is not taking away from the spotlight of the player. I'll give you an example. If you have an opportunity and the player that is sort of an introvert is about to have their moment of using the rogue to sneak through the guards and get the scroll off of the desk of the head guard so that they can get that writ and bring it back and get all of the plans that are needed from that information that's there, and they're about to go do that, and then someone gets up and leaves. It's cool, and that player does awesome things, but the rest of the players didn't see it, or not all of the players got a chance to witness it. So sometimes it's not just a matter of giving them a chance to do it. It's letting the group make sure that they had the audience that they need, right? Like, we're all each other's audience when we're playing the game. We should all be each other's, fans. Like, you did a cool thing. We should be happy that you did that cool thing. The only way that happens is that when you have the opportunity to do something cool, people are paying attention to the thing that's doing cool. Part of that is setting the right tone, creating the rhythm of the game, making sure everybody understands that when you do your session 0, so that people aren't checked out when the other person's got their turn and doing their thing, because man, it's awesome to do your thing, but you want the rest of your group to know what's going on, right? So it's just a small example, but you need to figure out what the rhythm is of your table so that you don't let those opportunities and those moments slip by too often. They will from time to time. It'll slip by. You can't be perfect, but you want to make sure that you capitalize on those moments. The other thing is to figure out what excites all of the players about their character. If you've got someone that, again, really loves the sneaking past things and doing all of the shadowy stuff because they're playing this rogue that really is into that, they're doing the espionage, they're doing the infiltration, then give opportunities for them to do that. And when it happens, let the scene play out in a cool way. Don't just say, yeah, you snuck past the guard, you got the scroll, that was awesome, it was amazing. Let it play out. Play the tension. Play the guard just walking past at the right time so that they can sneak by. Or almost seeing them, hearing the bump into the wall or the step on the twig. All of those things make it more tense for the person that is performing the task. If they don't have a chance to fail, then overcoming the obstacle doesn't feel good. So you want to make sure that you find out what is it about their character that they really want to be good at and they want to shine at, what makes them excited about things. Sometimes it's not even just being awesome at things. They just really like overcoming overwhelming odds, or being sort of in charge of something and then having to navigate when things go wrong. Maybe that's something that really excites them. Maybe they don't even know. They don't even know what they really like about the game because they're just learning. And so you watch them play for a while. You see the things that they, jump at and they get excited about. You see the things they laugh at. You see the things that really make them feel like they accomplished something. So sometimes it's just learning your players, and that's the best way, I think, to provide opportunities, because you can work in things into the story, into the game, provide opportunities. They may not take all of them, and that's okay, but you should at least provide the opportunities for someone to really try to do their best and shine. Now, if you can build scenes that highlight the growth or skill or personality, that's a really great way to do that. So if you've got someone who started out, as let's say spellcaster this time. So you've got someone that is a low first level wizard, just getting started. They're just learning the spells, and as a player, just learning how to play a magic using character. And then they slowly over time figure out how to use those spells because they weren't sure at the beginning how great mage armor was, and so they didn't always cast it, or they didn't know that shield was a great spell for magic missiles. Maybe shield was only ever used when they got hit, but they forgot that whole line in there about shield being able to block magic missiles. That's a huge thing. And then once they realize that, give some magic missiles a chance to go hit them, because then they have that opportunity to shine and understand that they grew, they understood from a player perspective, but also from a skill perspective as a character, that they're, oh yes, this shield will work against magic missiles. You pick the scenario that fits your table best, but it's around matching the possibility with the player and the character and giving chances for that to happen. So if you can build scenes that highlight the fact that they got better at things, great way to do it. And that could be any skill that they have. It could be negotiation tactics, it could be social interaction, that kind of stuff, or it could be combat related, magic related, exploration related. Any way you want to do it, that's a good way to really highlight their progression as a character. Another thing is the quiet moments between adventures can be a good chance for spotlight. So what that means is you might finish a real high-stake adventure session, and then they've got time before the next adventure starts. It's possible that you do this in lots of different ways. Really, there's no one right way to do this, but one good way that you could do this is you could say, hey, we've got time between our next session, and not everybody can be for that next session, and there's downtime that all of the characters may have had to say, hey, we're in the meantime, we're going to be resting up. I'd like to do some investigation in the library to research some new spells, because maybe they're leveling up, things like that. Or maybe while they're just leveling up their character, the other one's saying, yeah, I'm going to figure out my new abilities and I'm going to read stuff up. What you could do is you could have small one-on-one sessions to highlight a specific character where you say, yeah, we're going to play that out. And we're going to say, here's how you picked up those new spells. Here's how you gain those new abilities. Here's how you do those things. There was an example of how this worked. I think this was campaign 2 of Critical Role. Early on in the campaign, Matt had a situation where you were having a character level up. I think it was Beauregard. So Beau was a monk and they were about to level up. So instead of just saying, yep, level up and choose your stuff, they had their mentor, the monk's instructor, came in, and this was during the session, came in during the game and said, it's time for your progress check-in. I need to see what you've learned. And they had a battle. And during that battle, the instructor was telling, oh, you've done, oh, great attack, good this, and like we're able to kind of narrate all the things. And that's when maybe, I can't remember if it picked up stunning strike, whatever it was, the person narrated or Matt narrated what it was, that the new ability that the character was able to do. So you can even do it during the session if you do it quickly enough for everybody to kind of get something out of it and see how it goes, as a cutscene where you can say, yeah, this is how your instructor kind of passes on this knowledge to you. But if it's more like, let's say, a druid that's learning more about how to wild shape into other things, or maybe creating some potions through herbalism, you could have a whole session of just going out and scouting things. But you can also use those quiet moments in game if there's time for them to do that. So anyway, that was just an example, but you can do that to connect how the things are working for the character as a mechanical level to how it works in the story. You can actually play those out at the table, either in the main game session or during a session with just a couple people. This is great when you have a time when just not everybody can make it. You can say, you know what, you guys that can make it, show up, and we're going to role play out how it works for your level up. And then the other person can still do the main level up and get all their stuff. They just didn't get a chance to role play it out because they weren't able to do that. And that's fine. You can do that as a flashback later. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing is to rotate attention so that every player needs to be able to feel seen. It's hard when you've got players that are very focused and driven and extroverted and they eat up the scene, right? Like they keep going. That's good, but you also have to set expectations that there are times where you can shift the scene over to someone else. So the great thing about being a DM or a game master is you can actually say that. So if you notice that the character is talking a lot, or the player is talking a lot, therefore the character is talking a lot and doing a lot of things, and it might be taking a lot of game time up, one way to tactfully do that is to say, that's great, I appreciate you saying all that stuff, that's good, let's put a pin in that, we're going to shift over, I would love to hear what you have to say now, and just literally talk to the character or the player about what's going on with their character. So you can shift the camera and tell everybody that you're doing so. It's like, that's awesome, to the original person, now that's awesome, I'm glad that's happening, great choice in doing all those things. Hold on for a second, we're going to shift the scene and we're going to now focus on you, for example, and talking to whatever character you want. That's an example of being able to act as director a little bit, if you think of it from a movie or TV perspective, and just say we're shifting over to what's happening for this person in the scene now. Sometimes I've seen this work at tables that I've run where, especially with new players that don't know what's going on, you have initiative order during combat. Sometimes it's helpful to have an initiative order for the whole game, so everybody gets a turn to talk. And it doesn't necessarily have to be all the time where, it only works to roleplay in order. That doesn't always feel like roleplay, but it does help a lot of times when there is too much of a struggle with people talking over each other, or someone not getting the chance to speak because of big personalities. You don't want to shame the people having a big personality. It's nice, everybody's different, but you also don't want it to overshadow other people that have a personality that might be a little bit more subdued. So if you want to, you can even say, okay, for this scene, I'm going to take it in order because I need to get things straight in my mind about what everybody's doing. Put it on yourself as the game master. Put it on yourself and say, hey, it's not because you guys are doing anything wrong. I just need to make sure I understand everything correctly so that I can react, and you can let them know, give them a little hint, because I've got something brewing in the back of my mind and I want to make sure I understand what all of you are doing. Don't overdo that, but sometimes it's a good way to break up the tension of people speaking over each other. So one thing that I would say, if you're going to take away everything, is just make sure that you balance the momentum with the breathing room that you need for the players. Everybody's got a chance to shine in your game if you can help manage the table in a way that makes sure everybody feels seen, feels heard, and feels like they can do what they'd like to do, or try to do what they'd like to try at the table. Hey, thanks for watching, and remember, every table has a rhythm. Find yours. Cheers.